I'm doing a bit of catch up on some of my old comments. Supposedly, an EU official has said that Russia is now at war with NATO and the West. Two things. Firstly, he's correct. Russia is at war with NATO and the West. Second, it's not what you think. See, when someone says Russia's at war with the West, you're expecting nukes to fly any second now and soldiers to be mobilised and tanks moving across borders. No. He needs to get with the times a little bit, because NATO and Russia have been at war ever since NATO was established, since the Cold War. They are politically and ideologically opposed to one another. And there's been a lot of this shaking fists and angry speeches and all the rest of it and rhetoric since the Cold War, under the guise of proxy wars. The war in Ukraine has just become the latest in a long list of proxy wars. Here's a very basic example of some proxy wars that took place during the Cold War that I found on Google. Most of these, in some way or another, were against the Soviet Union. The world is a giant chessboard. The US and Russia are the players. They find an area of the world where things are a little bit tense, they choose their sides, and off they go. Fight it out. Before the Ukraine war, you had the Syrian civil war, where the US effectively propped up Syrian rebels to try and overthrow the government like they did in Iraq and Libya, and the Russians were propping up the Syrian government because they have been long-time allies. The only difference is, this time it's a half proxy war. Russia is actively taking part in the fighting this time round and getting their hands dirty, whereas NATO is not getting their hands dirty. They are propping Ukraine up against them. So he's right. We are technically at war with Russia, just not a hot, direct confrontation. The West is just actively manufacturing and selling weapons and arms to Ukraine to be used against Russia. They never have a direct confrontation with each other.